I'm Carl Parker. We are interrupting programming to give you the latest on severe weather in parts of the Deep South. We've been looking at some really dangerous storms tonight and a couple of tornado warnings right now in parts of Louisiana and Mississippi. First of all, a tornado warning for East Carroll Parish, Issaquena, and Sharkey counties. And we're seeing a strong circulation that is now right along the Mississippi River and moving towards the northeast. And so on that trajectory, it's going to be coming towards Magna Vista and Fittler and Blanton and Cary. If you're near any of those areas, heads up, you've got a really strong circulation coming your way, possible tornado coming your way in that area. And then another tornado warning in effect here in parts of western Mississippi near Yazoo City. That's Sharkey and Yazoo counties under warning. And here too, strong circulation showing up, and that is coming towards Route 149, will pass to the northwest of Yazoo City. We'll see if a downstream warning is going to be issued here. Would not be surprised if we do see one, and that's coming towards Anchorage and Louise and Carter and Belle Prairie. Now, let's see if there's any debris showing up. I'm not seeing any debris at this time with this storm, but that is a robust circulation that we're seeing here, and not surprising given how dynamic the atmosphere is tonight. Looking at the watches that are in place, we've got watches now around Lake Charles going until 4 o'clock in the morning. Also watches into 6 o'clock in the morning just outside of Baton Rouge and in southern parts of Mississippi, and also into south central Mississippi until 6 o'clock in the morning, including Jackson, and then reaching over not quite to Starkville and Meridian. So we do expect that it's going to be a long night tonight across parts of the South. We've got a very strong parent system, big swirl in the atmosphere way up here in the northern plains, right in there, and then a strong jet stream on the southern part of that, and very strong wind shear in the atmosphere, which is to say winds coming out of different directions at different heights. And so in blue right in there, these are winds that are coming out of the southwest at 5,000 feet, and you can see how that is moving relative to the low level flow, which is now moving out of the southeast. It's a lot of turning of the winds, and the winds get much faster from 0 to 5,000 feet. That creates the wind shear, the spin in the atmosphere that storms can acquire if you've got instability, which we absolutely do have in the yellow and the orange colors here. And so as we follow this out going forward, we expect that there are going to be many more strong storms going through the night tonight in southern parts of Mississippi and also in southern parts of Louisiana. So it's very important that you have a way to be notified if we do in fact get more tornado warnings overnight. Also want to show you a brand new tornado warning here. Holmes and Humphreys and Yazoo counties under warning. So this is what we were talking about moments ago. This is an extension on that storm that we were following just a few minutes ago. And there you see the circulation coming up towards Louise, towards Anchorage as well. Circulation right in there, and could be a possible tornado along with that moving towards the northeast. So a lot to follow tonight, and we'll continue to keep a close eye on it all. I want to send it over to Todd now for more coverage on this tornado outbreak.
Well, thanks, Carol. And for now, it's really about what we need to do in terms of how you got to prepare for the overnight hours into the early morning hours as well. Tornado warnings continue to pop up. We've already seen a couple of tornadoes that have already been on the ground. Let me show you the bigger perspective again. This is not just Louisiana and Mississippi, but you can see the line of storms extend all the way back here into far southeast Texas as well. But as far as the severe threat, as far as severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings, in the concentration mainly in the far northwest or northeast Louisiana and far western parts of Mississippi. So just looking again at some of these tornado warned storms that are out there. Another one that just popped up to the north and east Alexandria for Rapids Parish in Louisiana. That's until 12:30. We're looking for now at least a radar indicated tornado warning, but going back up into Mississippi. These are the two that we are most concerned about, these two tornado warned storms. You can see the couplets there on velocity mode, one of which just to the west of Yazoo City, and that will continue to drift its way farther off to the north. That's the one that Carl was just showing, and how the trajectory is now pushed a little bit more northeast. So with this, we're looking at some of the cities that are going to be impacted by this. Bayland at 1208, Acreage at 1213, Louisa at 1218, Silver City at 1230, and Belzoni at 1238. This is the time to make sure that you find your safe space. Get in your safe space now. Already should have known that with the tornado watch in place. Now that we are dealing with tornado warnings, this is the time you want to get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Find the centermost room, and make sure that you have your family safe, and make sure you have your pets safe as well. Farther down to the south, I do want to show the perspective here. Again, this is with that tornado warning storm just to the north and west of Yazoo City. Now, going a little bit farther down to the south and west of here, this is the secondary couplet that we are concerned about with this tornado warning storm. And this is another one that I'm not quite liking the way it looks on velocity, but in terms that does look like it is rather dangerous. Again, this is another warning storm that will continue to move off to the north and east at a decent clip, about 40 miles an hour. So Magna Vista at 1214, New Fittler at 1219, and Blanton at 12:27 a.m. So this is going to be a dangerous night. Multiple watches remain in place through the overnight into the early morning hours until 6 o'clock in the morning for a good chunk of western Mississippi, and for a good part of Louisiana. We have a tornado watch remaining in effect until 4 o'clock. That does include Lake Charles, Alexandria, and areas even into far southeast Texas. We're going to continue to keep our eye on these tornado warning storms all through the early morning hours and throughout the course of the day on your Wednesday as well. And I'm going to cut in once again to programming. I'm meteorologist Todd Bohr, continuing coverage right now of tornado warning storms in parts of the south, mostly in Mississippi right now. One that is was holding on into Louisiana, and going to continue to keep an eye on all these. For right now, we are looking at mainly radar indicated tornadoes. We do have now a new tornado warning that has now been upgraded to an observed confirmed tornado located near Fittler over in Valley Park. So I'm going to go talk about that as now right now. So zooming in, here's a bigger perspective here. This big line of storms. Ahead of that, it's going to be right in this area, far northeast Louisiana and far western parts of Mississippi. This is where we are looking at these tornado warning storms and the severe weather. Currently just to the south of Greenwood, where a severe thunderstorm warning is out, but these are the areas where seeing the tornado warning storms. Holmes, Humphreys, and Yazoo counties in Mississippi, just to the north of Yazoo City. Yazoo City, you're not in these warnings as far as where these cells are. The worst parts of these cells are actually just off to your north, and look at that. We just had a new tornado warning that just popped up there. I'll get to that one in just one moment. So again, tornado warning storm for Holmes, Humphreys, and Yazoo counties. That's until 12:45. This is radar indicated. So flipping over to velocity mode here, and we had a little couplet there earlier. Right here is what we're looking at. Let me change the color here. There we go. That's what we are looking when we're over in velocity mode. We're looking at motion heading toward the radar site and away from the radar site, and with that, that's where the spin or the circulation is being picked up on velocity, and that is where the tornado warning storm has been picked up from the National Weather Service. So tracking that off to the north and east. Louise at 1217. You're really just 3 minutes away. So hopefully you're in your safe spot right now. Silver City at 1229. Belzoni at 1236. And Butler at 1247. I'm going to get to that new tornado warning that just popped up. Let me go back to our reflectivity mode here and zoom out just a touch where we are looking over up until Greenwood. This is the new tornado warning that has just popped up right here. That is the new one for Carroll, Grenada, and Lafleur counties until 1:15 local time. That is also radar indicated. So let's once again go back over into our velocity mode. We're starting to get toward the end, a little bit toward the end of the radar beam there, but let me go back here. So yeah, you can see the circulation that is being picked up on velocity. That is what the National Weather Service has seen as far as radar indicated, and you can actually see it a little bit better here, right there. That is where that couplet is, and that is why that tornado warning has been picked up. So let me track this out here for you as well. Morgan City at 1221. You have about 6 minutes for right now. It'll be at 1231. Greenwood, 1240. So now we're starting to pick up some little larger cities here. And Avalon at 1254. So again, that is moving off to the north and east at a decent clip here. Currently at we're looking at 40 to 45 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour with that particular cell itself. Let me head back into our reflectivity mode. We zoom back out a little bit, and we're going to zoom right in here. East Carroll. This is where East Carroll Parish in Louisiana. So let me get the city, the states on here so we know where we're talking. So we're talking about Louisiana and also Mississippi on the other side of the Mississippi River. So we are looking to the north of Vicksburg. Here is Vicksburg down at the bottom of your screen. So we're looking just to the north of that. And this is where we are looking at an observed tornado. That is, as far as confirmed tornado, was located near Fittler, or 8 miles west of Valley Park, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. Let me stop this for you and head right back over into velocity mode. You can probably pick it up there on velocity mode. Oh yeah, you can really see that couplet right here. So this is what we are looking as far as where the circulation is, and they're saying that it is observed tornado. So we're going to track that out again, moving off to the north and east. So it's really racing along at 45 miles an hour. So some of the areas that will be impacted, New Fittler, you have 5 minutes. 1:22 is the time that this storm will be impacting you. Smedes at 12:27 and Blanton at 12:30. This is a very dangerous time. Really, any time of day is dangerous for tornadoes, particularly for the overnight hours. Many people are already sleeping. This is why we always talk about having your phones. Make sure you have the severe weather alerts on your phones. If you know anyone that is in and around these areas, this is also time to make sure you call them. Issaquah County and also Sharkley in Mississippi, you're all under the tornado warning. In fact, if anything, this is more of a Mississippi tornado warning storm, as it just basically has crossed over the Mississippi River as of this time. So let me head over to the correlation coefficient. Not quite seeing anything that's being picked up there. So it'll be a zoom back out again. So right now we have 4 active tornado warnings that are really along this line, 3 of which are in Mississippi, and the one that is just farther off to the south and west here in Louisiana. I'm going to go into that one since we haven't touched that one as of right now. For LaSalle Parish, that's in Parish until 12:45. Radar indicated at this time as well. So what we're seeing here is these supercells that continue to grow, that continue to expand and grow just to the east of this line of storms. And so this is a very dangerous time because we have a lot of instability. We have a lot of ingredients that can really feed into these storms. Even though we are talking about the overnight, we have the humidity that's certainly in there. We have a lot of low-level moisture in place. We have a lot of spin that's in the air, and that is what's causing these tornado-warned storms. As far as the watches, this is not going to last just for the next hour. We're talking all through the overnight hours until dawn in some spots as well. Look at this. A tornado watch in effect for a good part of western Mississippi. That's until 6 o'clock this morning. We have several hours, at least another 5 hours or so of that, 6 hours for Mississippi. Also, farther down to the south and west, Louisiana under a active tornado watch. That's until 4 o'clock this morning. Lake Charles, you're in the middle of that. Alexandria already had that tornado warning storm near you. Well, you're still under the tornado watch. And again, the bigger perspective here, as long as this line of storms remains off to your west, we still have the threat for these supercells that could develop right ahead of that. Let me just show you what we can expect, at least as we head through the remainder of the overnight hours, and then heading into your Wednesday, because it's not just going to be an overnight thing. This is also going to be a Wednesday event as well, as these storms will continue to march mainly off to the north and east here by 7 o'clock. Now places like Hattiesburg can get in on this, and then we can start seeing the possibility of these supercells developing once again in parts of Louisiana. And then watch out in places like New Orleans, Gulfport, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, and even the Panhandle, Florida could be impacted by severe storms. Any new tornado warnings that pop up, I'll break back into programming. I'm going to continue to cut into programming here just to talk about these tornado warning storms in Mississippi and one in Louisiana this time. All these supercells ahead of the main line of storms that continue to work very slowly. Not much of an easterly push. It's moving east, but it's taking its sweet time, so it's still impacting the same areas that have been seeing severe weather for a good part of the overnight hours. Going to start with the northernmost one, and the one impacting Greenwood. We have tornado warning storm for Carroll, Grenada, and LaFleur counties here in Mississippi. That is until 1:15 local time. It is radar indicated, saying that there has been some circulation at least picked up on radar. As of right now, no confirmation whether or not there is one on the ground. This is the time you have to take cover immediately, particularly in the town of Greenwood. What we are looking at is this right here when we're over in the velocity mode here. And that is what we're trying to look at, what we call gate shear. We're looking at some movement of air heading toward the radar site. You can see the radar beam moving through. The greens are heading toward the radar site, the reds heading away from it. And when you have these right next to each other, that's what we're looking at in terms of the circulation. And in fact, let me go back to that one more time. I want to at least track this out for you. So this particular cell itself is moving off to the north and east rather quickly. We are looking at 45 miles an hour, so off to the north and east. Greenwood, 1241, you're going to be impacted by the storm. This is the time to get in your safe spot immediately. You're under a tornado warning. Make sure you have as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Find the most interior room. Make sure that you have your family with you as well. Good time to grab some shoes, and if you have a helmet, bike helmet or anything, make sure you bring that with you as well. You have 1241 is the time that we are tracking this out, so we are now looking approximately about 15 minutes from now. Sidon at 12:33, so that's approximately 9 minutes from now. Crenfree at 12:49, Avalon at 12:56, and Dubard at 1:12. You're all under the tornado warning here as well. A tornado warning also out for Issaquena and Sharkey counties in Mississippi. That's also until 1 o'clock. Notice the source here. It is under an observed tag, so we are looking with this that a confirmed tornado the time this was issued was located near Fittler, moving northeast at 45 miles an hour. As of right now, still keeping an eye on this particular cell. Going to move over also to our velocity mode to see what we can pick up here. And at least at one time, it looked a little better here in terms of the as far as their circulation. Still seeing a little bit of that twist here. The question is whether that is going to be moved along, and is that going to be it's almost out of the radar, almost out of the tornado warning itself. But I'm going to continue to track it, whether or not it remains as a tornado warning or is moved over to a severe thunderstorm warning or just a tornado warning that is radar indicated. But let me at least track this out. 12:37 for Kearney, so 9 minutes from now. Campbellville at 12:42, Bayland at 12:48, and Anchorage at 12:54. So all these tornado warnings I've just mentioned are in western Mississippi. Going to also move up to one that also was indicated right here to the north of Yazoo City. So Holmes and Humphrey counties, radar indicated as well. It looks a little messy when we're looking at the velocity mode, but when I move over to the base velocity, it gets a little bit jumbled there. I know it looks a little worse than it is, but what we are looking at here is that particular circulation moving more to a northeast. Lampkin at 12:28, Gum Grove at 12:33. So yeah, Lampkin, you're talking minutes within now. Gum Grove at 12:33, Honey Island 12:39, Grass Lake 12:42, and Butler at 12:50. Bigger perspective again shows this big line of storms. We have some severe thunderstorm warnings back behind this. Want to get to the last tornado warning. What I'm going to do is when we take this to break, going to see if any new tornado warnings come out. If they do, I'll keep cutting back into programming. But then if they are anything to observe, I'll stay on it. Otherwise, we will continue to keep an eye on these storms. This is the last tornado warning that I want to get to before the break, and that is one for LaSalle Parish in Louisiana. That is in effect until 12:45. I'm meteorologist Todd Borick. 1:30 is your time Eastern, at least on Wednesday. It's 12:30 Central, and we're continuing to cover these tornado warned storms. Now, what's happening here? We have 4 active tornado warnings. Supercells, they're all ahead of this line of storms, just back off to the west. And it's not just only a tornadic threat. We have some severe thunderstorm warnings that are popping up here, and also a couple of flash flood warnings. This is a multi-tiered event in terms of the threats from tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, large hail, and even some very heavy rain. So this will continue through the overnight hours. Let me get you to the tornado warned storms as of right now, and then we're going to continue to work its way over to the severe thunderstorm warnings and eventually the flash flood warnings. So active tornado warning for Carroll, Grenada, and Lafleur counties here in Mississippi. That is until 1:15 local time. So that is radar indicated. Let me get at least the state there. That is until 1:15 local time, and with this cell itself, you can see we're seeing a lot of heavy rain here. There is what is causing the circulation. That's the circulation we're over. I'm over in the velocity mode now, and so we're seeing the circulation here. Let me go back a couple of frames and show you what it has looked like and what spawned the tornado warning. So here is the cell back here, and then as I continue to move it, so that's 12 o'clock Central Time, and then here we are about 12:15, 12:30. So it continues to have a bit of circulation, very broad circulation, but it's certainly there and is moving off to the north and east. Greenwood, that circulation is going to be overhead really shortly. We're talking 12 42. So this is 9 minutes from now for Greenwood. This cell looks like it'll be heading right over you at that time. Cren Free at 1250, Avalon 1257, Jefferson 106, and Granada at 119. This is the time. Been talking about the storm really for the last really a half hour, and then really throughout the course of the evening hours through the overnight. This is a dangerous event, so already you should be prepared to make sure you have your safe spot ready, and this is a good time, particularly in these towns I've just mentioned, to get in your safe spot right now as this tornado warned storm will continue to move in your direction. A little farther down to the south and west of there for Holmes and Humphrey counties, also in Mississippi here, we're looking at a radar indicated tornado warning that is in effect until about 12:45. So we have about 8 more minutes left, and this tornado warning as well. It looks like this cell is about ready to work its way out of the tornado warn polygon right here. So that is the circulation that is being marked. Let me go back and just see which way it is headed. So it does have a bit of it does look like it's moving a little bit more of a northeast as opposed to the north. So let me just track that out for you to the north and east. So we are looking right about like that. So Gum Grove at 12:37, so really just minutes from now, 3 minutes from now, you are going to be under this tornado warn storm. Grass Lake at 12:45 and Kruger at 1:03. You're all going to be impacted by this cell itself. Farther down to the south and west of you, we have another tornado warning that is in effect here, and this is the observed one, but this is a new warning that just came out. So I want to show you this one because that basically is the continuation of this tornado warning here. Now it is just moving into another area, a tornado warning. One thing I want to point out here, it does say radar indicated. Let me change the color here. It does say radar indicated. The cell that was farther off to the east right here, or to the south and west, that was observed, but what's happening is that this cell itself has now, looks like it has moved out of that polygon and has now moved off to the north and east there to this area for Humphreys, Sharkey, and Yazoo counties here in Mississippi. Tornado warning until 1:15. So this cell itself has had a history of at least being observed. It is now radar indicated, but this is not a time to let your guard down at any time, because as we've seen throughout the course of the evening hours through a good part of the overnight, that we have seen tornadoes that have reached the ground and then could easily pop back up again. So this is a very dangerous situation for Humphreys, Sharkey, and Yazoo counties here. Let me move over to velocity mode again, and I'm going to go back a couple of frames, and really you can see the cell that's up here. This is the cell right there. That's the one that brought about the observe tag for that last tornado warning. Now we are looking at it to become a little more broad here. That is why the National Weather Service has moved it back over into a radar indicator, but it's still a very dangerous situation. Could easily go right back to being a observed tornado again. So let me track that off to the north and east. Some of the areas that are going to be impacted by this: Campbellville at 12:44, so about 8 minutes from now. Bayland at 12:51, Anchorage at 12:56, Louise 101, and Carter 109. But I want you also, those of you in Yazoo City, just because you're sitting outside this polygon does not mean that you let your guard down here as well, because we've seen a lot of these cells continue to move off really to the north and east, but at any time they can have a bit of a push off to the east. So be very careful. Just because you're sitting outside the tornado warning polygon does not mean that you're in a necessarily a good position right now, because this could easily change, and that polygon, that tornado warning could push in your direction as well. Bigger perspective here. Let me zoom out. I want to show you where all these tornado warnings are. I'm going to go and show you bigger perspective here. So we're talking mainly in western Mississippi and a little sliver here in Louisiana, and that is the remaining tornado warned storm to the north and east of Alexandria. A very small sliver of a tornado warning that is out here, and that is this particular cell right here for LaSalle Parish in Louisiana. That's until 12:45. So we have about 8 more minutes left with this particular tornado warning, and mark that state there so we know where we are here. And that is, here's the Mississippi River right here. So we're talking far eastern Louisiana, LaSalle Parish. That is until 12:45, and velocity mode, at least at this time, we picked up it's looks a little broad. I think right about here where they had that circulation that spawned that tornado warning. But now as we're looking, it's basically, actually I'm looking at the wrong one cell. We're actually looking at this thing right here, and that is moving off to the north and east. racing along at about 45 miles an hour. So areas that are also going to be impacted, just because we're looking at severe thunderstorm warnings, don't let your guard down in places like Harrisonburg and also in Jonesville here in Louisiana, because this is going to be something that we can easily see tornado warnings come out of this as well. So pull back out again, show you where the line of storms are. Heavy rainfall still in parts of Tupelo, and this is something you're going to have to watch, because a lot of these storms are headed in your direction. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be tornadic at the time, but we are still looking at multiple areas under watches. That doesn't include Greenville, Mississippi, a little sliver here in far southeast Arkansas. And a good part of this area here, tornado watch in effect until 6 o'clock this morning. So several hours under a tornado watch. A good part of Louisiana and even far southeast Texas here, actually eastern parts of Texas, under a tornado watch until 4 o'clock. So we have several hours of really the same areas seeing repeated rounds of storms. And anytime these storms can end up being tornadic. So let me time some of these out for you. I'll take you to the end of the block here, and then we will keep an eye on these storms for you. One thing real quickly, that tornado warning for LaSalle Parish has just been allowed to expire. So LaSalle Parish, you're no longer under a tornado warning, but we still have the 3 warnings that remain in effect for Mississippi. Let me time this out for you, and notice what we're seeing here. The instability, that is the little bit of the fuel, that muggy air mass that remains in place. That's helping fueling these storms. Notice by 4 o'clock this morning Central Time, so we're still several hours away. There's still a possibility of seeing these little supercells that could develop and could bring about at least severe thunderstorms, but even more so in what we've seen so far, these tornado warnings. And that remains 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Here by 7 o'clock, a little more of a line of storms just to the east of Houston. But now look at some of the areas that are going to be impacted as I take you through the rest of your Wednesday. Alexandria going to be impacted. Now places like New Orleans, Hattiesburg, Mobile. We'll be seeing that from late morning Wednesday into early afternoon as this line will continue to pass off to the east of there. So one more time, tornado warnings remain in effect for Mississippi. What I'm going to do is going to stay with you for another 30 seconds or so, and then what will happen, any new tornado warning that comes up for the overnight hours, I'll continue to break back in and let you know where the new tornado warnings are. But as far as we're going right now, the active tornado warnings, all radar indicated here in Mississippi. Any new warning that does pop up, I'll come back in and break in and let you know what is happening. That tornado warning for LaSalle Parish in Louisiana, this has been allowed to expire. I'm meteorologist Todd Borg, breaking in to programming here to talk about multiple tornado warnings that really just developed within the last couple of minutes here. Mainly in Mississippi, but another one in Louisiana. So let's talk about these new tornado warned storms, most of which are radar indicated, Adela, Carroll, and Holmes County here in Mississippi. That's until 2 o'clock, so we have about another 48 minutes from now with this tornado warned storm as we look over in the velocity mode, a very broad circulation here. So what we're looking at, greens are movement of air heading toward radar site, red's heading away from it. So right when you get these two right together, that's where we're looking at that the circulation there, and that is what has spawned that tornado warning. Some of the cities that will be impacted by this: Lexington by 1:20 local time, about 8 minutes from now. The town of West at 1:43, Iconium at 1:31, and Kilmichael at 2:07. Farther off to the north from there, this tornado warned storm looks to expire within the next minute or two, but just want to point out for Carroll County as well as Grenada County, that's until 1:15. We'll see whether or not that gets extended. New tornado warning just came out now for Holmes and Yazoo counties. Notice that Yazoo City, you are in this tornado warning. It is radar indicated this time as well. And this is something when you go over to velocity mode again, like we're seeing up here with that circulation, we're also seeing a little bit of a tight couplet there, or at least a little tighter than the one that's just off to the north. And that is also one of the reasons why that the tornado warning has been issued. So Yazoo City is really impacting you right now. Make sure you find your safe spot immediately. Really within about 2-3 minutes from now, you'll be impacted by this. Benton at 1:27, Evans at 1:31, Pickens 1:50, and Goodman at 1:56. Again, we were talking about all these cities here in Mississippi, Yazoo City. Again, this tornado warning is certainly impacting you right at this time. Bigger perspective here shows yet another tornado warning. This one, it looks like, is going to be allowed to expire here. So basically, this warning here that was for Yazoo is basically now moved out and is now become this one for Yazoo and Holmes counties. Once again, here in Mississippi, take cover immediately. Make sure you find your safe spot. And if you are up right now and you know anyone that's certainly in and around the city and you think that they are currently sleeping, now's the time to wake them up. Make sure you find plenty of space between you. Make sure you find the most interior room you can find. Get as many walls between you and the outside as possible with this radar indicated tornado warning. That tornado warning looks like it is moved out. Now we have a couple of tornado warnings there now back into Louisiana. For Catahoula and the Concordia parishes here in Louisiana. This is also in effect until 2 o'clock. We are looking at a radar indicated tornado warning in these areas. Going to look over at some of the things here. Yeah, we're just looking at radar indicated from this. And I want to just point out really the two tornado warnings. Those are the two couplets. Those are the two areas that we are looking at the possibility for tornado warning. So I'm going to bring that out for time this out for you for the town of Eva at 1:18. So you're talking really 3 minutes from now. This cell is going to be right on top of you. Lismore at 1:25, Frogmore at 1:36, and West Faraday at 1:43. That is for the cell. That is the one I'm currently looking at farther down to the south and east. So again, that was the cell that was for the towns, for the parishes of Catahoula Parish and Concordia Parish. Farther down to the south and west of you, we have yet another tornado warning just south of DeVille, and that is also in effect until really 1:30. This is going to be another one we're a little concerned about the rotation that might be here. Let me go back, and there's a rotation. Wow, it does not. It certainly was. There was a couple that we saw earlier, but watch what happens. When I zoom this out, it does look like it may not be as strong right now, but either way, I'm going to time this out just because of the path it's on. It may end up reaching over the same areas now. Not quite seeing what we've seen before, but for Mena at 1:32, and Parham's at 1:39, Lismore at 1:43. So once again, we have multiple tornado warnings stretching from Mississippi here all the way down into Louisiana. And this is going to be a type of day that we're going to be seeing these tornado warnings possibly continue through the next several hours here. Tornado watch in effect for a good part of western Mississippi until 6 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Tornado watch for a good part of south central and central parts of Louisiana, even pushing into far eastern Texas here to the east of Houston. So all these areas under an active tornado watch for the next several hours, and we're not quite done yet. This is not only a severe threat, but farther off to the north, we have multiple warnings with winter storm warnings off to the north here from Rapid City over to Sioux Falls. Look at a lot of these storms. This is from Winter Storm Diaz impacting your area as well. So it's not just only the severe storms of the south. We also have a wide area under blizzard warnings here in a good part of western South Dakota, Nebraska, and far eastern parts of Wyoming, and also a little sliver here of southeast Montana, and also a good area of really the northern plains being impacted by Winter Storm Diaz. So the hazardous driving conditions, particularly along I-94, I-90, I-80, and I-70, particularly in these states. So once again, the tornado warnings are in effect. At any time, if we have any additional warnings that may that pop up, or if these warnings end up becoming observed, what I'll do is I will continue to cut back in. But what I'll do right now, though, as keep an eye on these tornado warnings just for the remainder of this block. We got about another minute or so here. I just want to show these tornado warnings. I also want to show the amount of lightning that's coming out of this as well, so that you can see the amount of energy that we have with these storms. Let me go a little bit farther to the south and show you one of the reasons why we are seeing all this coming up. We're looking at future radar with instability. The instability is that humid air. We're getting a lot of the moisture being pulled in from the Gulf of Mexico. So we have winds at the surface coming in more out of the south, but then a little bit higher up, about 5,000 feet up, we're having winds that are turning with height. And this is the ingredients we need to see these tornado warnings pop up. So when we take you through the next couple of hours, that's what we're seeing now, these little spin-ups here that could end up being these supercells that are what is causing these tornado warnings. Here we are by 7 o'clock in the morning. We still have the possibility of these storms and tornadic activity, and then we'll get going even more so during the course of the late morning, early afternoon from New Orleans to Hattiesburg, Mobile, Destin, all areas that could be impacted by more severe weather as your Wednesday progresses.
Severe weather continuing to light up the sky here out across parts of Louisiana and Mississippi, and some active tornado warnings, new ones in Mississippi and Parish of Louisiana and Concordia. So it's been pretty active through the nighttime hours. Haven't seen recently anything confirmed, but nasty line of storms, and embedded within that we've got multiple tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. So dangerous night. If you're up and you're out, beware. We do have not only tornado warnings here up in Attala, Carroll, and Holmes counties here for Lexington, Chachula, and Winona. 2 a.m. This is radar indicated. Strong storm potentially producing some rotation and some strong winds moving on off toward the north and east, but also a severe thunderstorm warning out ahead of that. So not only do we have the chance for severe storms with tornadoes, but also for Choctaw, Montgomery, and Webster counties. We do have a tornado possible with this storm as we watch the tornadic warned storm run into the severe thunderstorm warning. Thus, they have that issued that way. We go a little bit further south and we continue to see Concordia Parish, also for the counties of Adams and Jefferson in Mississippi and Louisiana, respectively. This is the latest tornado warning. This one has just come out until 2:45. Radar indicating you can kind of see a little bit of a blob down there on the south end of this. This is the storm that could affect Fayette, Natchez, and Vidalia here over the next few minutes. So take cover if you are in this area. Storm does show some signs of maybe some weak rotation. You can see it sitting right down there, kind of the red touching the blue, showing where we could see some rotation. Potentially a tornado may be sitting there. So if we do track this out, some other areas that may be affected include Cranfield at 223, Cannonsburg at 228, and into Cadillac and Fayetteville, respectively, at 235 and 242. So nasty line of thunderstorms and even some tornadic storms continuing to push through. We do have a tornado watch in effect. Yazoo City until 6 a.m. Down further south, it'll expire a little bit earlier, just to the west of Baton Rouge until 4 a.m. This tornado watch is for the potential for severe storms, which could produce occasionally at times tornadoes. So as we look at this line of storms, there's going to be severe weather embedded within the line, as we can see here, but there's also starting to become a heavy rain threat. There are flood watches out for parts of northern Alabama and northwest Georgia as this rich tropical moisture continues to bring the instability north as our storm system continues to push on off toward the east. So an active night expected to continue here with multiple severe thunderstorm warnings, and again, even some tornado warnings on this line. Heads up if you're in central and south central parts of Mississippi, moving north up near the Tupelo area here over the next 30 to 40 minutes. Some stronger storms potentially producing wind and hail, and embedded within this line once again, occasionally would get some spin ups in the form of some tornadoes. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we continue to head through the morning hours with breaking weather as needed. We'll now send you back to your regularly scheduled program. Dangerous storms continuing here to roll through parts of Mississippi and Louisiana. Meteorologist Ray Stajic here at the Weather Channel, and an impressive line of storms and a couple of warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. And our latest tornado warning is just coming out now for Avoyos Parish here in Louisiana until 3 o'clock local time. Dangerous thunderstorm potentially producing a tornado. Right now, Weather Service radar indicating that we could see hail 3/4 of an inch, and that storm producing potentially a tornado over Plowsville near Mooreville, moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So this is radar indicated once again. And if there is a tornado sitting right there down on the southwest side of where this cell is moving and moving on off toward the north and east. So you can see our couplet right there where the red is touching the green. That's winds blowing toward and away from the radar. So some indication there that we do have rotation within this thunderstorm. We'll try to pick off a couple of more areas here that may be affected over the next hour or so. Black Hawk at 2:39, Deer Park at 2:58 local time, and 3:04 Ellis Cliff. So if you are in these areas, please get into your safe place. Again, this is a radar indicated tornado warning. We go a little further north and east. We get into Mississippi for Adams and Jefferson counties. This is for a severe storm capable also of producing a tornado. You can see the cell here, maybe where that rotation is, just down to the south side of where this cell is being warned on. And again, red against the green here on our velocity, showing where we may be looking at a potential tornado moving on off about at 35 miles per hour to the north and east. Again, some other cities that may be affected. If you hear your city, hopefully you'll get into your safe place. Cannonsburg 229 at 236, and Cadillac at 243 if you're in and around Fayette, and Dennis Crossroads at 252. So again, active weather including severe thunderstorms capable of producing tornadoes. Don't have anything confirmed right now, but dangerous morning warning nonetheless, with this tornado watch staying in effect until 4 a.m. on the southwest side and up to the north, including Yazoo City and Jackson until 6 a.m. So more storms possible, if not likely, as we head through this morning. Looking at the future radar, getting heavy rain to the north, embedded within the line to the south. Some of these supercells could become tornadic, certainly strong winds, potential for hail, and looking at the potential for some large hail with some of these storms as they continue to roll east. Severe weather continuing to rumble out across parts of the south here early on a Wednesday morning. Meteorologist Ray Stajic here at the Weather Channel, and not widespread, but enough dangerous storms with the potential for wind damage, hail, and at times even some isolated tornadoes. And we do have a tornado warning that's just been issued. It's in for Mississippi, for Adams County, Franklin County, and Jefferson County. So right down here in the southwestern part of the state, where the strongest line of storms, or the strongest storms in this line, have been not only with the severe weather, but also some heavy rain. Notice the flood warnings now back toward the west. But more importantly, Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson counties in Mississippi. If you're near the Fayette area, a dangerous thunderstorm. But right now, a radar indicating rotation, maybe some 3/4-inch hail. At 2:51, severe storm capable producing a tornado located near Cranfield, near Natchez, and moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So if you are in the Fayette area, certainly want to take cover now as this storm continues to move on off toward the north and northeast. And you can see maybe a little bit of a hook in there that just went through Fayette, and maybe another one down toward the south. So some indications by radar, actually, that we've got rotation here. Not really sharp, kind of couple it with the green touch and the red on the velocity, and maybe another weak one up toward the north. So Adams, Franklin, Jefferson, once again, an opportunity here for some strong damaging winds and hail, along with some of the heavier rainfall. Now back in it, within that, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Concordia Parish in Louisiana, Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson counties. Also a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30, and a tornado possible. So there may actually be some rotation on the southwest side of this warning. And again, either way, take cover if you are in Fayette or Vidalia. These are areas that may be impacted by some of these stronger to severe storms. And as I just mentioned, we also have a severe weather threat in terms of heavy rainfall and flash flooding. This is further on up north of Chain, to the southwest of Yazoo City, in East Carroll and Madison parishes in Louisiana, and the counties of Issaquena, Sharkey, and Warren in Mississippi. Very heavy rainfall. It's all heading in this direction. So we're going to get training or rain running over the same areas for multiple hours at a time, and more flash flooding possible, if not likely. Then I want to kind of jump a little further east as we get into eastern Mississippi and parts of Alabama. Going to have to keep an eye on these storms. Some of these isolated supercells developing may become severe. The bottom line is more severe weather continuing this morning. Dangerous and potentially life-threatening severe weather continuing to roll here this morning. Meteorologist Ray Stajic here at the Weather Channel. The most active part of this huge line of rain and thunderstorms continues to be out across southwestern parts of Mississippi and into, let's call it eastern Louisiana. Some of these parishes now under tornado warnings, and some of the counties also. Just saw the latest warning pop up, but this is Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson counties in Mississippi. This is a tornado warning, radar indicated until 3:45. So if you are in the Fayette area, please take cover. It looks like one circulation has passed you, but this one coming in now may have the potential to be rotating. We've got strong gusty winds, maybe in excess of 60 miles per hour, potentially a tornado wrapped in there, and the potential for potentially some 3/4-inch hail. So very dangerous thunderstorm, capable of producing a tornado in that area. And you can see where this rotation is, not really well defined, but there's certainly at least some wind going toward and away from the radar. That's what the greens and reds indicate. Winds going in opposite directions, producing that spin. So dangerous thunderstorm, capable of producing a tornado. At the minimum, some strong gusty winds. Right now, put the correlation coefficient on here. Don't really see much, if any, debris getting kicked up, but there is at least that chance that we do have a tornado sitting in there. Avoyelles Parish, Cottonport, and Missouri. This is some areas being affected by this latest tornado warning. This is until 4 o'clock. Again, radar indicated a storm potentially producing a tornado located over Cottonport. moving on off toward the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. So you do need to take cover if you are in the Cottonport area, heading toward Masura and other spots. Very weak or broad rotation showing up there, but still an opportunity for some strong winds. And as we go through the next 30 minutes or so, Big Bend at 3:33 a.m. local time could also be under the gun for some of this severe weather. And again, we put the correlation coefficient on here looking for things that don't belong in this area here. So you see a lot of red. We don't see any debris, at least at this point, getting kicked up. So at this point, we don't have a signature of a tornado on the ground. Also, another threat from this line of storms has been heavy rainfall for East Carroll, Madison parishes, and Essequibo, Sharkey, and even Warren counties in Louisiana and Mississippi, respectively. Flash flood warning for heavy rainfall. So you need to seek higher ground if you are in that flash flood warning. And this tornado warning just came out down to the south, I believe, or has been a reissue for Avoyelles Parish. But further toward the north here, we also have severe thunderstorm warnings out ahead of our tornado warnings. So severe weather is also expected in terms of severe thunderstorm for Concordia Parish and Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson counties in Mississippi. So these storms not only capable of producing rotating cells, but also strong damaging straight line winds and that threat for some large hail, 3/4 of an inch or larger. We'll keep an eye on these storms near Hattiesburg heading toward Meridian. Some of these isolated cells, the supercellular ones, may have the opportunity to rotate also, as they're in an environment that is favorable for development of severe weather. Tornado watches stay in effect through parts of Louisiana until 4 a.m. Further north and east until 6 a.m. for Yazoo City, Jackson, and points further southwest of that. Notice New Orleans, not yet, but you do have a flood watch, and that's for your heavy rain potential. Future radar, what the guidance thinks is going to be happening as we head through this morning, and right about on target with some of this isolated severe weather along the line here. And that's what we expect as we go through 5 and 6 a.m. Very slow moving, so there's not much of a component to the east with this line of storms. So the heavy rain threat on the backside and off toward the north will continue along with the severe weather threat. So Hattiesburg, be ready by mid-morning, and then eventually New Orleans later this morning and into the afternoon. And notice again, Montgomery down toward Hattiesburg and Mobile through this afternoon. Some of these storms, not only heavy rain and severe, but potentially tornadic, as they may be developing within the line. So isolated, severe, potentially some stronger storms. Even down near New Orleans, we could see some of those storms produce isolated tornadoes. Let's go to the north side of our winter storm Diaz. Gusty winds, near blizzard conditions in some spots as we continue to watch the snow wrap up. This storm's heading east and will stay as a headline maker even into the northeast and New England as we head on through late in the week and into the upcoming weekend. Blizzard warnings in place. Very powerful storm producing near blizzard conditions out through the Dakotas. Winter storm warnings and watches elsewhere. There may be some heavy snow in some spots as Diaz gets cranked up. We've got winter weather on the backside. Rich tropical moisture coming out of the Gulf on the east side and in the warm sector. We'll continue to have all facets of weather going on: snow, wind, blizzard conditions, severe weather and flooding on the south side. We'll continue to keep you updated as needed, and as weather breaks here at the Weather Channel, we'll now send you back to your regularly scheduled programming. Quick update on severe storms and even tornadic cells that continue to push through parts of Mississippi and into the parishes of Louisiana. This has really been the active area now. Strong storms capable of producing tornadoes. Nothing confirmed yet, but these are all radar indicated down across parts of Mississippi and into Louisiana. The latest is within a warning that has already been put out. This is Jefferson County in Mississippi, Claiborne County and Copiah County also in this, as this severe storm is capable of producing a tornado. You can kind of see, it's a double warning here. So for Claiborne, Copiah and Jefferson counties in Mississippi, radar indicated here rotation within this thunderstorm. So if we get in a little bit closer, you can kind of see the rotation down in here, kind of a broad circulation and not well defined, but there may be some, and also maybe a little rotation up to the north here also. Either way, dangerous thunderstorms continuing to produce potentially tornadoes with strong winds and hail, maybe to 3/4 of an inch. Avoyelles Parish down here in Louisiana, this is a severe storm also capable of producing a tornado. This is a tornado warning until 4 a.m. local time. Again, broad circulation here with the reds and the greens kind of together, but really not a tight couplet that we see when we do see stronger storms. And our correlation coefficient not showing much in terms of debris getting kicked up. Also, have got a severe weather threat in terms terms of flash flooding, East Carroll, Madison parishes, and also into some of the counties here in Louisiana and Mississippi. Heavy rainfall producing flash flooding, but it's this area down in here that we are seeing the most severe, and even some tornadic cells continuing to come on through. Really don't see much in the way of reports of damage yet, but nonetheless, this line moving slowly on off toward the north and northeast, heading toward Jackson, and eventually the heavy rainfall getting on off toward and into places like central and northern Mississippi, and the severe weather threat continuing through early morning.